What's up everybody and welcome to the Gundam Power Armors and FMP Armors and really just Gundam Armors, Power Armors, and Weapons. So first and foremost, this is a very big mod, so I'm going to break this video up into a few different parts. First go over the armor, then the weapons, then the Power Armors. But again, very high quality mod, a very cool mod. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I do want you guys to see is this armor I'm wearing. This is actually the sole armor added by the mod. This is the Banshee Unicorn armor. I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know anything about Gundam, so I don't know what any of these names mean, although I kind of get the concept behind it. As you can see, it kind of is a very bulky and large armor. It almost feels like a Gundam armor, but or a power armor, but it's just a normal armor. As you can see, it does look pretty cool. I'm using a vault suit under it. But it's a pretty cool armor nonetheless, especially when you're actually in first person using this. It does look pretty cool when you run around with this and all that. Obviously having those big horns on your head and all that, does have like pretty good protection. But again, this is the one armor added. I think in the future he does plan to add more just regular armors. But we also do have a few different weapons, so we'll go into that now. Nothing too much else going on with this armor. So the first weapon I actually want to show you does look very similar to the armor, and that's because it is the Banshee Gauntlet. It's kind of meant to be used with this armor. It's kind of hard to tell when the armor ends and the weapon begins. It's almost like it's implemented into it. Regardless, it's a pretty cool weapon. It's like one of your melee weapons, kind of like a power fist. I do have a few raiders right here, so we could test it out. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's not like ridiculously overpowered or anything like that, but it does do pretty good damage, and honestly it looks pretty cool, especially when you're using it. Obviously the whole armor and all that is extremely bulky though, so when using it, it's gonna like take up a lot of your screen, and it's gonna be kind of hard to see the whole thing. And there you go. Got a nice little finisher right there. Probably the least interesting of the weapons, at least in my eyes. Again, it just adds in this power fist kind of weapon. You can attack very fast with it though, which is quite a bit of fun. But again, nothing too crazy going on here. We'll finish this guy off as well. And yeah, that's the Banshee Power Fist. Here comes a Brahmin. Let's check out the next weapon. So next up we have the Buster Rifle. This is a pretty interesting gun. It's actually kind of not lined up properly because all the weapons after the initial one are meant to kind of be used in power armor. I'm just going to show you them before I get into the independent power armors. Regardless, basically this is it's a Buster Rifle. It's kind of a beam rifle type thing. I'm sure if I knew about Gundam, it would make more sense to me. But regardless, basically the way this gun works is it's a heavy weapon. When you're using it, it does have a scope, so let me turn off the HUD there, and as you can see, it could target enemies, and I am over encumbered. But regardless, yeah, it's a little weird the way it works. So basically when you fire this, you'll fire once, and as you can see, it does massive amounts of damage. Let me put myself in God mode. Basically, when you reload, you're just going to put in like the fusion core, and it doesn't really work all too well. Although it does, one shot uses one. But these are some legendary Brotherhood Knights. Let's see how much damage we do. As you can see, we finished that guy off. And it does do area of effect damage, so this thing is a little bit ridiculous. These are probably the strongest enemies you'll ever fight in the game. Brotherhood Steel, Legendary Brotherhood Star Paladins. You probably won't get much tougher than this. Maybe some of the top level fog crawlers, but otherwise, as you can see, this thing does ridiculous damage. I don't know how it works, like as far as the damage goes. As you can see, 17 and 57. I don't know really what those two values correspond to. Like, is that per shot? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, what is a shot? So a pretty cool gun nonetheless. But next up we do have the Mega Beam Cannon, and this one's also very interesting. As you can see, if we go into first person, you can see all these guns don't really fit super well into like the person's hand here, but they're actually all really high quality, which is honestly not surprising, but you almost wouldn't expect it. But as you can see, these are meant to be used in power armor. I do have my like kind of augmented armor here, but pretty cool nonetheless. Let's actually take some shots at some of the rest of the Brotherhood of Steel here. I'll take my God mode off, and as you can see, this is more of just a beam rifle, but this thing doesn't do any damage comparatively. That's the one thing I didn't really get about these guns. I guess obviously some of them are more powerful, but this one, it does little to no damage. And as you can see, I don't know why, but it doesn't really seem to work too well in VATS. But see, okay, I'll go for a critical hit here, and even with my critical strike, I barely do a sliver of damage. There you go, we finished her off. But this one, pretty interesting nonetheless. Basically just kind of a different kind of beam rifle pretty cool. So then the last one we do have is the Virtue G and Bazooka. And as you can see, this one is also not going to be doing a ton of damage, but basically it is kind of like a Gatling laser. There's almost no difference. As you can see, I ran out of ammo right there, but there's actually no difference for that either. Okay, so I actually just realized something. I was only firing once with this. This is the Buster rifle again, but you can actually spam fire this thing. So check this out. That's one. So that's just firing once. But if you just spam click, as you can see, you're going to just start compounding all of those shots together, and like that's going to be doing some ridiculous damage. So I very quickly took out all these Brotherhood of Steel, and I think that's about all of them. But yeah, as you can see, these guns do ridiculous amounts of damage. As we go into the crafting station, as you can see, there are a few little upgrades you can make to them. So as you can see, this one's going to add in an extra claw, so you kind of have like a death claw looking claw. That's the same gun, but some of them again do have some different. Am I clicking on? Oh yeah, I am. So and then this one does also have some upgrades as well, and we have a 308 receiver. I'm not really sure what the purpose of these are. It seems like a lot of them are just glitched out, although implemented nonetheless. Maybe this is something meant to be added later. I'm not entirely sure. As you can see, some of them actually do work, while the other ones are just kind of, I don't know, stat changes. So a little weird the way that works. As you can see, this one actually has like a proper beam cannon, and then if we go to the mega cannon, we have a different barrels, and we have a quad barrel, which is actually pretty cool. I do like that quite a bit. But again, it's just implementing some, like, that's a quad barrel from the missile launcher, which I don't know, I feel like I almost just like the standard barrel a little bit more, although that is kind of like the standard barrel from the missile launcher. And then this one, some similar stuff. As you can see, we're just adding in like the tri barrel there from the minigun. So not sure what that is. Definitely need a little bit of work in that sense, and you can't actually remove them either, which is a little bit unfortunate. I have to go spawn myself in all new weapons. But regardless, now let's move on to what I think the highlight of this mod is, and that is the 5 different power armors. So now we have all the different power armors. Again, there are 5 different ones. I'm not going to even pronounce some of these guys' names, or rather even attempt to pronounce them, because I'm just going to embarrass myself by doing so. But as you can see, the texture quality on these is actually very high quality. If you zoom in, you can see it definitely isn't like the top notch, but there's definitely some serious quality there. If you're playing in third person, you can almost not even notice that it wouldn't be the highest of qualities. Basically, what this mod author did was take some free assets from different sources online, and again, he's not like stealing assets. These were publicly available and shared and distributed, and putting them on different power armor pieces that were modeled, and basically just implementing them into Fallout 4. He doesn't explicitly say what he did himself and what he didn't. Like, I don't know if he had to do individual modeling work or if he had to spice up any of the textures anywhere, but I mean, honestly, I just think they look really good when you're actually in the power armors, although it does look a little bit goofy because it feels like this almost should be bigger. Like, I feel like I should be a little bit wider and all that, but the power armors themselves do look really sharp, especially like these little like logos and emblems on the sides and stuff do look really cool. So again, this is the that one. I'll show you the next one now. So next up we have another one, and I'm actually not going to show you kind of like the weapons or anything like that with these, but regardless, this one definitely not being as high quality, so maybe this one was custom made by the mod author. I'm not really sure again, but as you actually get close to this one, you can instantly tell that it kind of just isn't as sharp as the other one was. So we have those little flying pieces there, which is a little bit interesting. As you can see, this is definitely a mod that's pretty good, but it lacks a little bit of polish. All the helmet on this one, I think, just looks very badass, and the stomach is pretty exposed though, and the back. You can definitely see some of the remnants from the normal power armors. Regardless, I still think this one looks pretty cool, and I mean, there's not too much for me to say. I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch Gundam getting very mad at me for this video, but at the end of the day, this is a mod for Fallout, not a mod for Gundam, so I'm looking at it from that perspective. So I definitely think this is my favorite out of the different power armors added. I just think it looks the best on the power armor, as well as just kind of has the coolest feel. It definitely looks like very futuristic and a high-tech one. This also, I'm pretty sure, is like the poster boy for the Gundam series. I definitely remember seeing this guy as a kid and all that, but regardless, as you can see, we do have all the different pieces. One thing I feel like the mod author really did get right is the actual sway on some of the pieces. Maybe this is a bad example because I feel like that one's a little off center, but like the actual sway as far as the different shoulders and all that bumping around look good. This one, I think it's just lined up incorrectly or something, but regardless, that's ironic that I say that on this one. But they do look really good, and as you can see, we can go for a few different shots. This thing has some crazy range. It does look very cool when you fire it, though, those effects. I'm using Vivid Weathers as well though. But alright, so we have 2 more power armors. I'll show you those and then we'll conclude this video. So next we do have the Wing Zero armor, and I do also want to know all these do come with custom jetpacks, although I was having a ton of different glitches with them. Some of them would get the glitch where you don't stay attached and then you reload and then the jetpack would just be gone, although this one does seem to work. And as you can see, these jetpacks are very very large, I guess is the best way to put it. Like wandering around with this on all the time. Well, I mean, honestly, if you're using this kind of power armor, you probably would like this. I actually think it looks kind of cool, but as you can see, it does work. It is a fully functioning jetpack. That initial jetpack is actually built into the armor, so only these wings come when you equip the jetpack. Basically, there's individual jetpacks for each and every one. Again, this one being a pretty cool armor. So one more power armor to check out. Let's look at that one and its jetpack. So last but not least, we have the AX or ARX8 armor or power armor. And as you can see, I think this is actually another one of my favorite ones. This might be my second favorite one out of the bunch. This one also looking very cool. It doesn't seem to have a jetpack though. It seems to be like the only one without a jetpack. And in long-term use, I could see that little head thing. It's kind of like a hair. I'm not really sure what that is. But regardless, I could see that getting a little bit annoying. But all around, as kind of a conclusion for these, I think it is a seriously quality mod, or at least there's quality parts to it. It just needs a lot of refinement. Like these power armors do look phenomenal. I think almost every single one looked really good except one, like the second or third one I did check out, maybe looked a little bit worse. It didn't have the texture quality or fidelity that the others did, as well as I think the weapons do need quite a bit of work, because although fun to use, certainly not practical in an actual playthrough. These things are ridiculously overpowered, or at least that one is, and these ones feel ridiculously underpowered, which is the irony of the century. But regardless, we do have, can we check this out? But as you can see, not everything lining up perfectly. We do have that added barrel on now. But again, even the weapons, they look so cool. It's just the actual implementation into the game isn't quite there. So all around, a pretty cool mod to use. Maybe you want to check out in a few weeks or even a month's time to see where it's at then. But for the time being, a pretty cool one. And if you're a fan of Gundam, I'd say it's pretty much a must download to play as some of the different power armors. Even if you just use the power armors, I feel like it's a pretty decent way and just ignore some of the other parts. Regardless, again, a cool mod. I thank you guys for watching as always. I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.